is going on, everybody? We got some new players. We got some new people. We got a new guy at the bottom of the screen. Not new, but he's old. But we know him. We got and we have a new sponsor too. This is just nothing personal. It's just Bills, hosted by your man JTM. That's me, and it's brought to you now by Checkers. So make sure you're getting down to your local Checkers and get your chicken tenders, your mother cruncher. So either way, moving on. Got my guys with me. Guy at the top there, James Mallory, NFL pedigree, like to call him. James, how we feeling tonight? A lot of moves.
Oh man, a lot of action, a lot of moves, man. I can't wait to discuss it with y'all fellas, man. It's gonna be a great show, man. Let's get it.
My man down there in the middle, familiar face, Bills beat writer, Wolfo 1080, as some people like to call him. Muki Hawkins. Mookie, the Bills made some moves. Levi's gone. I know you're a little happy about that, huh?
Bottle of champagne has been popped today.
Oh, come on, man. Don't do my man. Don't do my man like that, man. Don't do him like that. He has some
Scouting
serviceable
report.
years here.
Scouting report is in the AFC North now.
Scout report. Come on, man. Don't call it scout report. All right, and I got my man down there. We haven't been together since the last postseason show, and my man Clayton Garrett needs no introduction. Clayton, what's up, man?
Oh, it's another day, man. This time of year is so much fun. I feel like this football team continues to get better and better every day this time of year, so I'm more than excited to talk about it.
Yeah, you know what? Your first time on is nothing personal, which is kind of crazy, but you got a night off. Clayton took a night off to kind of help us with the with everything, getting all the information out today. So but hey, guys, let's hop to it. Brandon Beane, as my man Muki Hawkins like to call him, Beane the burglar, was striking all across the land this week. We saw teams like Jacksonville spend an absurd $229 million yesterday. And Brandon Beane out here handing out deals with the first year cap hit 1.5 million, 2 million, 3 million. I mean, he literally played with like $9 million in cap space yesterday, and we got like 4 new people who we assume are going to make an impact. Mookie, I'm gonna give you the floor first, Mook. What did you like? What about your guy, man?
Oh, Levi?
No.
Levi?
I'm not gonna let you pick on Levi, and I'm not gonna let you pick on him. I ain't gonna let you do that. Big up about Brandon Beane.
I think the moves were solid. You brought in some quality depth pieces. Something that's definitely going to help the team. I'm still waiting on that big splash, though. These pieces that was made are not going to get you to a Super Bowl. All right. We need still some star power. And, I guess guys are restructuring the deals right now as we speak. They're going to have to restructure Milano. They're going to have to restructure Deion Dawkins. They're going to have to restructure Trey White. At some point, I don't know what they're going to be doing with Cole Beasley. They need to release him. And I would release Tyler Matakevich as well. With all that being said, if you do that, you could save anywhere between $20 to $24 million right now, where we can go ahead and get guys like Chandler Jones and Jarvis Landry or Allen Robinson comfortably. So that's what
Allen Robinson gone, right? I think he signed with the Browns.
I'm not sure. If he did that, he must have did that over the a half hour ago, but he was still on the market.
Was he? I thought I saw him with the Browns. I mean, somebody could have false reported. It was a lot of lies yesterday, man. Yes, it was the worst I've ever seen it with the sandbag report, man. Just outright lying, playing with people's emotions. You can't do that type of stuff. Not in free agency. James, coming to you. What did you think about the moves that Brandon Beane made? Obviously, Mookie feels like we need one more splash move. I know me and you are probably both got our fingers crossed, not behind the back, in front of our face for Chandler Jones. But what you think, man?
I love them. I think those are moves where you got better in the trenches. It's obvious they got better in the trenches. Subtle, I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. His teammates rave about him. He former teammate of Trey Edmonds at Virginia Tech. That goes a long way. So, we'll see the running back situation. Me personally, I think that was an okay move. I mean, he can play, but I think it's still going to be a splash move there or receiver. One else to a big move is coming. And definitely at corner or DN on defense.
Right.
It got to come. Like Muki said, you got to. I feel they got to make 2 splash moves. You have to. If you're not to make a run, I mean, we're talking winning a Super Bowl, you got to make 2 splash moves to be serious about that. The Broncos got way better with Russell Wilson. Chiefs are the Chiefs. You got to respect them. I mean, you got to respect the Bengals. They were the AFC champs last year. So you got to make those. You got to make 2 splash moves, man. You have to. But you got better in the trenches, though. That's you win the game is one in the trenches.
We're gonna be talking about that, about adding the beef. And if you guys are watching the show, make sure that you're liking, subscribing, and following. If you're on Twitter, watching, retweet, and Clayton Garrett, man, been a while. What's going on with this, Phil? I know you love how much you love the trenches since you're a trench guy. So, how'd you feel about the move so far?
I mean, I'm enamored with what they've done so far, really. It reminds me a lot of what they attempted 2 years ago when you saw them bring in guys such as Vernon Butler and Quentin Jefferson, not in the types of skills that they're bringing in the room, but they're really trying to establish a new precedence and establish a new level of expectations for the interior defensive line. They added 2 really violent football players that are powerful and strong at the 1 technique or 0 technique positions. They both played true nose throughout their careers. They're both powerful guys. I understand Tim Settle's only 310-ish pounds, but he is a really powerful 310-pound guy. He is a guy that can play all across that defensive line, and I think the defensive line got a lot better, and I think swapping Saffold for Darrell Williams was a solid move, and you're going to see a solid left side this year on Josh Allen's blind side, and hopefully that settles up the interior offensive line. And, I'm not really sure what the plan is, if they're going to draft another guy or bring in competition for Ryan Bates as we anticipate him to sign his tender and come back next year. But I like the direction that they're heading with all of these moves, including McKissick. I think McKissick, he's going to be a quiet addition that, we're going to see Josh Allen's completion percentage go way up. And we're going to see a much more patient offense, and he's going to find McKissick a lot more times because they finally have a guy to fill that role that they desperately needed for years.
And you know what? Actually, you bring us right to our first topic of the night. I want to knock this topic out first. With the move of McKissick. I know some Bills fans out there are saying, and we don't really know what the hell's going on. We don't know what Brandon Beane gonna do. We think we can know, but we really don't know. With that move, I thought it felt like getting J.D. McKissick was that 3rd running back that kind of can do it all, and maybe we're getting away from our 3rd running back being primarily just a special teams player, i.e., Tywan Jones. And what was the guy's name that we gave O.J. Simpson number to?
Snorris Perry.
Yeah, Snorris Perry. So maybe we're going to get away from that, and we're actually going to use our 3rd running back spot. And James, I'm going to come to you first since you're our in-house running back. Do you feel that the J.D. McKissick signing symbolized that the Bills are committing to Devin Singletary as your lead back for the 2022 season? And by the way, I got my Zach Moss hoodie on. Make sure I get the Zemo.com and cop one of these. He's still going to be a Bill. Don't worry about it. But go ahead.
I mean, if they could get a steal situation, I'm going to say they would take. I've never been on the Christian McCaffrey thing. I don't think that would be a move that they really, I mean, they maybe want to talk about it. I don't think they're serious about it. I would see the Saquon Barkley being more realistic. But I think they're committed to him right now. I would have to go with yes right now. I wouldn't rule out the Zach Moss trade. I don't know why I got a hunch. Him or Singletary can get one of those running backs can be gone. I just don't see both of them on the roster week one. But as of right now, they are committed to him, which I think he more than deserve it. He's a starting running back in the NFL. He's shown that. And I like him. Personally, I'm a fan of Devin Singletary. He could pass pro. He could catch the ball out the backfield. He's not a great running back. He's a solid running back. He's a solid NFL starting running back.
All right, Mookie. Bills, are they committed to Motor at this point?
Yeah, they committed to him probably for, I don't know, till training camp.
Wow.
That's the way I see it. I mean, just because the Bills went out and got McKissick doesn't mean that they're not shopping for running backs. And, I think they're just going to go and grab one out of the draft. We don't have a power back. We have these, little shifty guys with no blazing speed. That's still a problem in my book. You bring in a guy like McKissick. Obviously, that could be a nice 1-2 punch. McKissick could obviously be your third down guy because he's a receiving back, better than Devin Singletary. But what are we going to do as far as pass protection with Josh Allen? All right, we can't do it with these little stubby guys. Moss, it looks like the writing might be on the wall with them. He may be joining Dable out there with the Giants because I think that was more or less Dable's pick due to the fact that they were switching up run schemes. They switched from a power run to a zone run to appease what was going on with the Stephon Diggs trade. So I guess, that might be, running its course. And, you might see some sort of trade for Zach Boss. He could be on a trading block, come draft day. But I think the Bills are going to probably look for a running back in the draft. You got a plethora of running backs right now. This is a deep class. And you're looking at guys with size and speed, and it can catch. So I think that the Bills are going to try to address another running back somewhere in the meat potato round, somewhere in between that third, fourth, fifth round. And, then it's going to be competition. Devin Singletary definitely will be number one on the depth chart. He's proven that. But at the end of the day, you got a new offensive coordinator in Ken Dorsey, and it's up to what he likes as an offensive coordinator and what he see fit as his style of running back. So I think the Bills are going to still draft a running back. I like the McKissick move. I like Devin Singletary. I do like the direction that they're going. They're committing to the run, bringing in Comer, bringing in Saffold, and so we know they're going to have that balanced attack to help out Josh in the pass game. So, but I still think that the Bills are not done with their running back.
CG.
Yeah, I really agree with a lot of what Muki alluded to there at the end of his point. Just some of the names that they've added to this room the opinions in the room that weren't there last year, they're going to go a long way. Names such as Aaron Cromer and Mike Shula and Ken Dorsey, and what his real plan is for the stable of running backs that they end up having come day one and come week one. When you talk about this stable of running backs and you talk about a guy like Ken Dorsey, I think it's pretty infamous as to, the offenses he played in as a player, but it's going to be interesting to see how he utilizes the talents that he has in the backfield. And, I tend to agree with Muki also in this aspect of they don't really have a blazing speed guy back there. They lack an explosive element in the backfield. And I think you can make an argument that you could possibly use Isaiah McKenzie more so in that role than we have in the past. I think, this third running back position that we're talking about right now in regards to McKissick and how it solidifies Singletary's position in the stable, I would be shocked to see Singletary move before the season started personally. But I think it's also worth mentioning that I think the utilization of this third running back on this team has been kind of quietly just lackluster over the last handful of years when you talk about guys such as TJ Yeldon and Matt Breida. And you didn't really see – well, Matt Breida, you saw him get some opportunities this year, but more so TJ Yeldon. I think the utilization and really incorporating the skill set that J.D. McKissick brings to the table is going to be such a big factor this year because we've seen them add guys like this to the backfield before and not use them on game day, as Jeremy was alluding to with the third running back being attributed to special teams.
James, what do you think that J.D. McKissick is going to add to this offense while we're on the running back topic?
When we talk about him, I think he's going to add that element. Somebody put down, the threat of the screen, being able to make big plays in the screen game. Because you got to have a feel for that as a running back. That's kind of a natural feel for the game, more instincts. You can't teach that. So that's something that he just naturally has. He'll be able to add that element to the game. To be honest with you, I don't know a ton about him.
Okay.
I know a little bit about what I've seen. And I'm assuming he's going to be that third down. He's a threat to come out the backfield and make big plays type of guy. I think that's going to be his role. I don't see him as a, 2nd and 7. We giving him the ball to try to, make it do what it do. I don't see that being his role. I think Devin Singletary is still a man that role.
No, okay. So I've heard you gentlemen speak on this topic, and I agree with the screen game. I agree with as far as the Bills may not be done at running back because, like I said, at this point we really don't know what Brandon Beane is thinking. We do know that Brandon Beane wants the Super Bowl. We do know that Sean McDermott wants the Super Bowl, and that it almost seems like they're willing at no cost to not get that. get that done. I think, and James, we've been saying this for a while, that we feel that Devin Singletary is 1,100 yard back in this league. I think when we talk about money allocation, obviously this D-line is going to be one of the highest money allocated fronts again possibly this season. Probably not number one because we're losing Addison and Hughes' money, and probably hopefully June 2nd is still Star Lotulelei Day, where we rid ourselves of that awful contract that we signed that has been haunting us for the last 3 years. And I say haunt very generously. I don't think the Bills are going to make it with running back unless it's a rookie. I do believe that maybe if Breece Hall is on the board in the second round, the Bills will consider him. I don't believe that they make another move. Maybe I agree with Mook, maybe later rounds, but if they do, then that obviously may spell the end of my guy right here, Zach Moss. But at the end of the day, we've seen Brandon Beane and we've seen Sean McDermott be overly loyal to some of their guys, right? I think we can all agree. We've seen them be overly loyal to some guys. In all fairness to Zach, and James, I know you're going to go in on this subject in a second. In all fairness to him, he did not have an offseason last year. He pretty much rehabbed from that broken ankle all offseason. Now, I know that had nothing to do with his vision, anything like that, because I know you've talked about that. But he's cheap. He's extremely cheap.
It's not physical with him. That's my problem. Has nothing to do. His physical ability should be a Pro Bowl running back physically. It's when you missing reads, pass pro, you 220 pounds, you blowing blocks. That's a problem, man. That's a major problem. When I'm looking, I'm watching all 22, and you're missing huge cutback lanes, and people complaining about the line not blocking in the running game. It's ignorance. They don't know. Fans don't know no better. It's totally false. The line is blocking. They're opening up a backside cut, and you're just missing it. 4 times in one game, I seen him miss huge backside cuts for big plays. That's a problem. That has nothing to do with his ankle. That's a problem. That's a vision problem. If you're running back with no vision, you're useless.
So let me ask you a question. Do we see these things in year one?
Those are instincts that you got as a running back or you don't. That's why running backs is one of the easiest positions to translate from college to NFL. That is something you got or you don't. I mean, as you see it, you can tell if a running back got it right off top.
Fairly quick.
Like, okay, this dude can play. You don't got it 2, 3, 4 years. I'm like, okay, now he got it. No, man. It's either you got it or you don't. Those instincts are something you just have. You can't teach those instincts. And I just don't think, I hope I'm wrong, I just don't think he got it. In our scheme that we ran, it just wasn't for him. He was just missing too many cutbacks. I mean, he's a one cut, have a fullback in front of him. Boom, boom, old school running back. Now, I'm not saying he's terrible, but the cuts and the things I seen him miss, dude, you 220 pounds. Somebody bump you and you fall on the 2-yard line. Come on, man.
You talking
Come
about
on, man.
that Patriot game. Mookie, you got something you want to add to this before we move on?
I just think that Zach Moss just got into where, like James was saying, it wasn't a scheme fit for him. I mean, it's the speed of the game is totally different from how it is in college. Like if you're a zone guy in college, then just like James said, you have to be able to have the patience first of all, but you got to be able to read your lanes, diagnose those lanes quicker, and that should come in your pre-snap. Your pre-snap should tell you where you're making your cut at right off the rip, and that's where I think that Zach kind of struggled with. That's why you saw on tape him missing holes. He's being predetermined, running with his head down, and in that type of scheme, you can't do that. You gotta be able to run with vision, and I think that he wasn't a scheme fit. What the Bills were doing towards the end of the season, I think more suited him. But Devin Singletary got on a roll, and they wasn't about to go away from that. I think Zach Moss, he's a pro style back, but he needs to be playing more physical, more downhill, that he could get a chance to play behind his pads than a zone type of runner, because like James said, he's 220 pounds. Like that's more finesse for a guy 220 pounds. Something like that is like a beast mode type. Just give him the ball and y'all block it down and y'all kicking out. Just get up in there and you get you some. You know what I mean? Get the hard, tough yards and run everybody over that's getting your way. So we don't know. We have to see, with this style, does he fit Cromer's style? I think it's going to be competition at this running back position this year.
It's going to be interesting. Like I said, we don't gonna spend too much time on the running back position. We're going to find out more of that down the line. Great comments, great commentary on the running back position. Remember, if you're watching the show, tune in for the first time, like, subscribe, follow if you're on YouTube, retweet if you're on Twitter, and like and share if you're on Facebook. So moving on, obviously the Bills made another big move on the offense this week by signing Roger Saffold off the Titans, who was really recently released off the Titans, I should say. A Pro Bowl guard. You don't really see that hit the market too often. The Bills swooped in, grabbed them quick, didn't waste any time. What do we think that that's going to do for this offensive line? Because we know that guard was a problem. It really was. It was a problem. We've been had a problem at guard since we drafted Cody Ford, since we've been rotating Ike Bodiger in there. We finally found a little something in there in Ryan Bates, some consistency, but it's been a problem. Feliciano in our lineup with injuries. It's been a horror show. Roger Saffold, does he help fix those issues? This is a guy who's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and as I think it was James said a couple weeks ago, maybe I'm Mook, I forgot when you guys said it, that Aaron Cromer was going to bring some of his guys here, period.
Mookie definitely said that. Okay,
it was Mook. So, since Mookie said it first, Mookie, you got the floor.
Well, I mean, that's normally what happens when, a new O-line coach. It's just like, in the Giants, Feliciano and those guys are going with their O-line coach, Bobby Johnson. So it's like that familiarity just, always carries itself. You know what I mean? So, if I'm bringing in, if y'all allow me to be the O-line coach, I got to bring in my kind of guys, you know what I mean, to fit my mold, that knows what I want, you know what I mean, knows what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? It's easy for me to teach what I need to teach if I have my type of guys. And here it is. You're bringing in a monster in Roger Saffold. I mean, the guy is, man, 6'5", 325 pounds, man. You don't want no problems with that on that left side. That left side looks damn good right now with 2 Pro Bowlers over there protecting Josh. And we're going to see what they're going to do on that right side. Spencer Brown, another physical guy that I know that Coach Cromer loved to have, you know what I mean, already in the building. And, who knows? You might see John Miller come back. He coached him too. So he's a free agent that you could bring in for the low. You know what I mean? So you're going to start you're going to start seeing those type of guys come back into the fold with Cromer being a new offensive line coach. It's a power, more physical style. And that's just letting me know that the Bills are really going to focus on running the football than trying to have Josh Allen running the football.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I mean, I think that, we've used Josh in this past year, in the last couple of years, but as he gets older, we don't want Josh Allen looking like Ben Roethlisberger looked these last 2 years. We really don't. Let's be honest about it. Because if he keeps playing the way he has been playing, he ain't going to end up looking like that. James Mallory, I'm coming to you, Roger Saffold.
You solidified that guard position, at least one of them. You brought nastiness. You brought a mean streak to the offensive line, which I've been saying has been missing. Feliciano was that for us. Why fans liked him. He had a little mean streak with him. And he just couldn't stay healthy, unfortunately. But he's like, this dude is like 3-4 times better than Feliciano ever was. So this dude is a baller. Now you talking about the left side. Like Mookie said, you got 2 Pro Bowlers, Mitch Morris, and the right guard position. You got Bates. You're probably going to draft somebody, probably bringing in a free agent to compete. You're talking about some ballers now. Now you're talking about the offensive lines who are able to protect Josh Allen. Now, you can do a lot more things when you don't have to worry about that interior pressure coming. Because, these boys ain't going for that.
No. Clayton, Garrett, your favorite topic. Trenches.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to give enough credit as to how much Aaron Cromer is really going to change the whole room for the Bills running game and the Bills offensive line as a whole. You bring in a household name, he brings another one with him. And that goes a long way, bringing in a guy like Roger Saffold for this offensive line, bringing in a guy who knows the technique, knows the schemes that this guy is going to want to run. Aaron Kromer has been a household name when it comes to offensive line coaches for a long time in this league. He really knows what he's doing. We've seen a vast amount of success right here in Buffalo itself, as you were alluding to earlier, Muki, with John Miller and that offensive line he had with the successful rushing attacks that Buffalo had a handful of years ago. But I'm really excited to see what Saffold brings to this offensive line. I think he brings a nastiness. I think he brings professionalism, and I think that kind of like what I was saying earlier. It changes the precedence. It establishes more expectations. You have 3 really solid offensive linemen from left to right with Dawkins and Saffold and Mitch Morse, 3 veteran guys who have been in this league who want to win Super Bowls. And, it's just a matter of that right side developing and coming along as well, whatever the plan may be, whether that's developing Ryan Bates to go on as a starter and, have Spencer Brown on that side alongside with him. I'd assume that guy is going to be a staple for the future, Spencer Brown. But, the right guard position, we'll see what happens with that. But I think this offensive line got a lot better with Roger Saffold added to it, and they also added quite a leader. I've seen a lot of things, a lot of concerns on Twitter and Facebook and various social media platforms about people being concerned of his injury history. And the last year, that was the only season I believe in his career that he missed any games, and it was 4. And he was dealing with injuries throughout the season, coming in and out of games. I'm not necessarily concerned with that. We've seen players who have had real injury history come to Buffalo and really kind of revive their careers and get with this training staff and get in the strength facility and really kind of, take it from there and be the best versions of themselves. So I hope to see, and I hope to and expect to see nothing more but with Roger Saffold.
Guy that we have not talked about. I don't mean to cut you off, Jimmy. One guy that's still on this offensive line that we have not talked about. Anybody want to take a guess?
Cody Ford.
Cody Ford.
Now, who's to say, with Kromer being the offensive line coach, caters a little bit more to Cody Ford's style right now, because he was a mauler coming out of Oklahoma. All that fancy stuff wasn't his forte, wasn't finesse style. Maybe Kromer can bring that potential out of Cody Ford that we drafted him to be, in the second round. Who you never know. But the Bills can release him and free up some cash. You know what I mean? So never know. The jury is
I'm not totally against Cody Ford. I've never been off the Cody Ford thing. I always say he's a serviceable offensive lineman in the NFL. Now he's not going to be going to Pro Bowls and all of that right now, but I think he's a serviceable. We can win games if we had to play Cody Ford. That's just my opinion.
Cody freaking.
No, you're right. I made the same argument for Levi Wiles, and people didn't want to listen to me.
Nah, bro. Nah. He is cheeks.
Oh man. No, it's just one of those things when it comes to Roger Saffold. It struck me as odd yesterday, right? Because we haven't been in this position probably since Bryce Pop and Chris Spillman, where veterans were coming to Buffalo on fair deals, but trying to win a championship. We haven't. It's been that long. Bryce Pop and Chris Spillman were probably the last 2 guys to come here as veterans to say, hey, we weren't overpaying for these guys. They wanted to come here and win a ring. And when I watched Jacksonville yesterday and I saw that they spent $229 million, at first I laughed. And then I thought in the back of my head and said, damn, you know what? That used to be us. We had to pay people like Derek Dockery and Mark Anderson and some of these horrible Kawika Mitchells of the world, horrible contracts just to come to our town and city to play. So I had to stop laughing. It wasn't funny no more after I thought about it. But no, I think this is huge. I think this is a huge move for Buffalo. I think just the perception in general of the Bills is huge. I think Mitch Moore said something yesterday after he signed his contract extension where he said that he had some thoughts about Buffalo before getting here, and then he signed, and all of those were dispelled. And that's the type of word-of-mouth marketing that you're looking for, the type of word-of-mouth marketing that James always talks about when players are in the offseason and training and working out together and putting you on game to what Buffalo's about and what they got going on there. How it can make or break a franchise. You spoke on the show last week, James, about how when you were undrafted free agent, you didn't come to Buffalo because the agent was like, nah, man, don't do that. And now we see other teams in that position, and I get what you're saying. When Roger Saffold gets cut in 48 hours, flies out to Buffalo. And I'm going to tell you one thing what shocked me. What shocked me is when they said they signed him, he was already here, flanneled up on the podium. I'm just like, well, damn, did they fly him out on a jet? Like, he was here already, which that shows excitement. You know what I mean? And that's a big difference. So,
I wonder who asked Mitch Morris that question.
Did you ask Mitch Morris the question?
Sure did.
I didn't watch the presser, so I just saw the highlight. Were that you asked it?
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "What makes Buffalo contagious?"
Gotcha.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's
Go on Twitter, man. It's up. Matt Beauvais did the honors of putting that one up. He put that one up and tagged me in it. So I was, I had to show some love to my man Matt Beauvais. Shout out to my man Matt Beauvais, by the way.
It's always nice when people give you credit.
Some love.
It's always nice when people give you credit because in the last year and a half, man, you had some good questions. Ain't nobody gave you no credit. No tag, no HT, no nothing.
Yeah,
so
no,
stealing.
No soy sauce, no champagne, no nothing.
Just stealing.
Straight
it's all
stealing.
good. You're getting your respect. You're getting your respect, man. But no, I guess I like the Roger Saffold deal. I think it says a lot more. I think it says more about the franchise. And like I said, you alluded to Clayton, it says more about Aaron Cromer and the respect he gets. That Saffold's gonna cut out. Okay, I'm going with you, coach. You're my guy. 2 Pro Bowls with you. Yeah, I'm coming with you. Let's make this thing work. And one more point on this topic. Sean McDermott never uses key words when he speaks about a lot of things. But when he talked about Aaron Cromer, he did say a big time hire. So that means a lot. But let's move on. Our next topic. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna take a 30-second break for our sponsor, and then we'll be back with talking about adding the DLine beef, because we know we add a lot of DLine beef, and we got to talk about the additions of Daquan Jones and Tim Settle, who I'm smitten with. But we'll be right back.
These new Checkers fry season chicken tenders are for Joe. Joe wants his son's project to be number 1. Woo. So we took our number 1 famous seasoned fries and added the same secret blend of spices to create Checkers' new fry seasoned tenders. Made with 100% white meat chicken and all coated with our famous fry seasoning. Now that's a winning combination. Genius recognizes genius, Joe. Come get your new fry seasoned tenders. You've earned it. Join Checkers Rewards for a free Buford or Mother Cruncher.
As you see, get your Checkers. Make sure you get down there. I think this month is Chicken Tender Month. So I think next week we're going to have a promo code that you can get down there and get you a little something off in Buffalo. But yeah, get down to Checkers, get your chicken tenders. Like they say, don't be a mother cruncher. All right. But yeah, so we wanted to talk about the D-line. This was obviously been a topic in Buffalo since the day that Sean McDermott has walked in. And we've seen the likes of Trent Murphy, Vernon Butler, Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes, F.A. Elbada, and the list goes on. The list goes on that we we kind of whiffed on, and now we're back at square one, and we've signed Daquan Jones, who I think is a professional player, good player, and I think a steal in Tim Settle. So, Clayton, I'm going to come to you first. This is your topic, trenches, Tim Settle, Daquan Jones. What are we getting?
I mean, you're getting a lot beef around the interior, and you're going to not see a lot of the problems that we saw last year for certain stints with the Bills struggling with gap integrity, struggling with keeping guys off of their linebackers. I also think that you get 2 very impactful one-technique defensive tackles, because let's not make any mistake about it. Tim Settle can play really anywhere on this defensive line. He's a very versatile player with the skill set that he has and the power that he possesses. He has incredible leverage. One comparison that Jeremy made that before the show was talking about how he reminds him of Jordan Phillips with a lot better discipline. which I'm not sure how Bills Mafia will feel about that. I know Jordan Phillips has a soft spot in all of their hearts, but I really can't help but agree. You have a big, powerful guy who has violent hands, who has been really starving to get on the field behind a lot of talented guys there in Washington. You know, we talk about Matt Ioannidis, Darren Payne, and Jonathan Allen, all like highly touted interior defensive linemen in the NFL. This guy's been itching to get on the field. He's only 24 years old. The Bills get him for what was it, a 2.69 cap hit in the first year. They signed him to a really favorable deal for the Bills. And I think come this time next year, we're going to talk about how we need to re-sign Tim Settle. And as far as Daquan Jones is concerned, he got starter money to play that one technique position. You talk about a guy who got a 2-year, $14 million contract. We were talking about in the chat with Leroy Muddog Winslow as to how it's eerily similar to the contract the Bills gave Vernon Butler, who didn't really play the last 6 games this season. So, yeah, I think this is quite an upgrade. Both of these guys over the likes of who they had in their last season, like Vernon Butler, like Star Latuile, who, as Jeremy keeps saying, June 2nd is going to be Star Latuile Day, and I fully expect the Bills to be cutting Star Latuile. One thing that's been floated around about the interior defensive line is that there's still conversation about the Bills bringing in another one technique, such as Akeem Hicks. And if that were going to be the move, you see a lot of big guys on that defensive line, and then a hybrid guy who's going to wreak havoc on the inside with Ed Oliver. And that's really, I feel like that's really the goal. If they were going to bring in 3 different interior defensive linemen, such as Settle, Daquan Jones, and if they added Akeem Hicks, you know, that's really opening things up for Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, and also especially Ed Oliver. And I think this defensive line combination, this defensive line pairing is as good as McDermott's had since he went to the Super Bowl. So my expectations are quite high with these 2 additions. And I tend to agree that Tim Settle is he's going to be a well-known name by the end of this season.
Muki Hawkins, Tim Settle. Are we settled in at D-line now?
Settle is a monster. I like the acquisition in him. Like I said, another quality depth piece. Definitely way much of an improvement for Vernon Butler. You know what I mean, and Quentin Jefferson. Here's a guy, like Jeremy said, he has that motor reminiscent of Jordan Phillips. He's definitely can move for a guy his size. Very stout in the run. And, that's something that's desperately needed, you know what I mean? And especially when you playing a team like the New England Patriots twice a year, and all they do is, ground and pound. We're going to have some guys on the interior that will be more stout and more efficient up against, a New England Patriots offense in that regard. So, that was a definitely solid pickup, a good rotational piece. But I'm not sure. Like, I do hear the Akeem Hicks things and that nature, but I got to think, like, okay, if we picked up Daquan Jones, we picked up Settle, we got Boogie Basham, he's more of a flex guy, and then you got Ed Oliver, who Bills are going to exercise their fifth year option in him. So all these guys' contracts are going to expire at the same time if we allow that, because basically you got Daquan Jones 2-year deal, you got Settle on a 2-year deal. And basically, you have Ed Oliver right now on a 2-year deal. So I think the Bills will probably be more or less leaning in the draft for another D tackle. This is a deep draft this year. A D tackle, especially if a guy like Jordan Davis so happens to slide all the way. If Jordan Davis slides to 20. I think the Bills will go ahead and move up and go get that guy. I'm just saying. I know we need corners and all of that, but I would go get Jordan Davis. I would trade up to get him. If he's somewhere between 20, 21, I will move up a couple of spots to go get Jordan Davis, because who are we going to have the next couple of years? Everybody's contract is going to be up, and we're not going to have nobody to replace inside. So I think the Bills will be more or less leaning towards getting a guy in the draft, than rather losing all your players, in the next couple of years. But definitely some solid picks. I like the acquisitions, but I'm just more or less thinking that the Bills still need more up front. We need a big fat run stuffing guy, a Jordan Davis type of guy, a 6'5", 330-pound guy with a motor, and we can get rid of Star Latuile toilet paper, and we'll be all right,
favorite.
But I feel the splashy. We got to be splashy somewhere. So if they doing that, I'm quite sure Brandon Beane have a backup plan, a plan C.
Yeah. Plan C may be Chandler Jones, James Mallory.
I like it. I think these dudes play with an edge, and that's what we was missing. Charlo Tulele is a very nice guy. You don't want very nice guys playing defensive tackle. You want dudes with attitude. Harrison Phillips, he's a very nice guy. I'm not saying they're bad football players, but we need attitude in that D-line. Ed Oliver got it. He got it. He's a dog. Other than that, it's just like then Vernon Butler, he was just there.
Freaking placeholder is what he is.
Yeah, he was there. So I think they improved so much at the D tackle positions. It's not even funny. It was a very big problem last year when New England Patriots just run the ball every single play and run it at that position. Like, I don't think that happens this year. I definitely think they draft somebody who I don't know, but I think they'll probably end up drafting somebody. So, we'll see. But I'm excited to see what they do because I'm assuming Suttle could probably play some 3-tech too. So you play him at the 3-tech, play Davis at the 1-tech, play Ed Oliver at the 3. You draft another 1-tech or Akeem Hicks. I mean, it's so much. They have some flexibility there. So I'm excited to see what happens. But I know one thing: we are better at the defensive tackle position right now than we were the last 2 seasons at any point in time. We're better right now. Period.
All right. So when I saw these moves, first of all, I've never understood the Vernon Butler signing. When we did that, it was a head scratcher to me then, and it was another head scratcher when we didn't get rid of him last offseason. I don't know what that move was about. I don't know if they owed him something, if he saw them take some money out the ATM or something, whatever it was. I never understood that one.
As you said earlier, overly faithful.
Yeah, overly faithful, overly loyal, right? I think that Quentin Jefferson, they gave up on a little bit too soon, in my opinion. I thought that if you're going to get rid of one of them, the first one to go should have been Vernon Butler. Hell, he was standing there with his icy chain last year, cooling on the sideline, not even caring. He wasn't playing. So, either way, there's either here or there. Daquan Jones is a guy who started pretty much since he came to NFL. Starts almost every game. He started all 17 games this year, started all 16 games last year. Been a starter since he came in. Good football player. Like I said, someone said up in the chat earlier, comes from Mike Vrabel's culture that it's physicality. It's physical. It's nasty football. And me and James have been saying for a long time, this team is missing that nasty player. That one is just going to be Rodney Harrison. When you're on the ground, take that forearm, put it up in your chin, talk about your mama, talk about your daddy, say a little. We have not had that in Buffalo. And football is a violent game. And yeah, we can keep it classy, but at some point you got to act out. And as my mama say, show your ass. That you have to at times. And getting these type of players, I think that's what we're going to get. We're not going to get pushed around. We're not going to get punched in the mouth. Like I said, we all loved when John Feliciano ran and swinging and throwing people in the Chiefs game when we were already losing. But we loved it so much that we wanted to keep him because he became a fan favorite. Why? Because we hadn't seen it. We saw Trey White get Jimmy Snooker's elbow from the top rope from Gronk, and no one did a thing. So, just being realistic, right? That it is true. That's what happened. We didn't see it. So now we're to the point where I think that even Sean McDermott, and you even see him on edge last year, end of the season with his pressers and everything like that. He's tired of being Mr. Nice Guy. He's tired of being Mr. Classy and the constant professional. He's almost ready to tell some of these supporters, go do something with yourself. So it's no surprise to me that we brought these guys in. Tim Settle's the guy that, I targeted back in December. I thought he would be a guy that we could get. I kind of thought that he would get more money than we gave him on the market. The reality is he's a great football player. He was just stuck behind Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, I think Mike Ioannidis over there in Washington. But when he did play, he was consistently productive against the run and against the pass. And I think when we were talking about Star Lotulelei, we get nothing from him in the pass game. He's just supposed to stop the run. We get nothing. That's kind of why I'm not too high on Jordan Davis personally, because I don't think Jordan Davis is going to give you anything against the pass in the pros. And honestly, I'm not very fond of him. I know he's big, he's fast, he's strong. I don't know how old he is. I don't know if he's 22 or 26. Hell, I don't know if we even figured it out yet. But the reality is, I think we need 4 guys, if we're going to play this bend but don't break defense, what we've been playing, this cover 3, cover 4 scheme, that can get to the quarterback. We can't have one guy out there that can't get to the quarterback at this point in time. All 4 got to do it, because we've had a hell of a time. And yeah, for the last 5 years, all we've heard is Jerry Hughes and PFF pressures. Well, pressures have gotten us nowhere. It's gotten us to this point that we're still signing free agents, still drafting people in the second round and the first round to come get the quarterback, because all we can do is get pressures. Well, the pressure was on Brandon Beane to fix this D-line. The pressure was on Sean McDermott to fix this D-line. And I think that we may have done it, because I have maybe more faith than I should have in Greg Rousseau becoming a 10-plus sack guy a season. And I think Carlos Basham, I think Boogie's going to be your other breakout guy. I think Epinesa is what he is. I think he's that Chris Kelsey, that Ryan Denny. He's going to get you 5 or 6 cleanup sacks. He's going to be okay against the run, but that's just what he's going to be. I think Boogie Basham is going to be the other guy. But, guys, the defensive line, I mean, do we think that this defensive line, I'm going to go around the horn, I'll start with you, Muki. Does this addition defensive line, does this make Tremaine Edmonds better?
Jury's still out on that, because we got to figure out what we're going to do on the edge. You know, we have to wait and see. I still think those are playing him out of position. He should be the Will, and Milano should be the Mike. I'd rather have Tremaine Edmonds trekking Travis Kelsey, than Matt Milano. I don't feel that we're using him right, and it shows out there on the field. He looked lost because it's too much space for him. Like, he's more or less has to be in the action, man. Like, you want to have that type of specimen involved in being physical and run some action. You don't want to have that guy dropping off 20 yards in coverage trying to read the quarterback eyes 20 yards, past the line of scrimmage. Like, that don't even make any sense. We're not using him right. I will hope that we use him in a different fashion this year. I'm gonna ask the coaches about that, like, because where do we see his game evolve? Like, we don't see his game evolving. The Bills do a good job of developing players. What are y'all doing to make sure that this guy games evolve? His game has not evolved yet. And you mean to tell me you need certain guys up front for that to happen? I just don't think that we're using him right. For him to be 6'6", 255 pounds, runs a 4.54 40 without Tre'Davious White. He is the second fastest guy on the defense. Yes, at linebacker, the second fastest guy on the Bills defense. And that's another issue. We don't have no team speed, because Levi Wallace runs a 4.66 40. All right. So I just feel that they're not using Tremaine Edmonds right. So I have to say the jury is really still out in that regard. Now, if we get a big fat guy that demands a double team, yeah, you're going to see a better Tremaine Edmonds, because that's going to keep him clean, and it'll be quicker for him to diagnose plays and make tackles. 2 years ago, when Jordan Phillips was here, you saw a better Tremaine Edmonds, and we have not seen that type of play out of him since Jordan Phillips has been gone. So maybe Tim Settle, having that familiarity, we're playing with him at Virginia Tech, could bring that, could light that fire again with that. Other than that, the jury is still out with me and Tremaine Edmonds.
Clayton Garrett.
I saw a clip earlier on Twitter as I was looking at, the various different plays that Tim Settle's made whenever he got an opportunity to play in Washington. And, it was kind of fun watching a one technique defensive tackle get off the center and guard double team and make a play as the linebacker completely over pursued the tackle, and he just made the play himself. And, having an impact one technique that goes such a long way. You know, I couldn't agree more with Muki when he says that they don't use Tremaine Edmonds to the best of his abilities, to where he would be suited best to play defense in the NFL, to where he's an attack football player, not a read, react, and go find ball and get the ball. No, he's an attack football player, and I'd love to see what he could do in an attack system. But for the time being, you know, he is the Mike. And, you know, I pounded that table for them to swap Milano and Edmonds from Mike to Will for years now. And, you know, they seem pretty content on having Tremaine Edmonds at the middle, at the Mike. And, you know, whether it's what's best or not for this defense, that's water under the bridge. I think it's I think it'd be hard to sit here and say that Tim Settle and Daquan Jones aren't going to be, you know, improvements to what this Bills defensive line has had on the interior in the past. And I think that coincides with improvement from Tremaine Edmonds. As that defensive line gets more violent on the interior, you know, that's going to open things up for both of those linebackers, as I said earlier. Do I think Edmonds is going to flash out and have a breakout year where we're all saying, you know, this guy is the top whatever linebacker in the NFL? I'm not going to go that far yet. You know, if they make some different moves, they get the edge that we're all looking for. They get a Chandler Jones, a Daniil Hunter, a real impact football player on this defense that's really going to change everything for this defense. Then maybe I go in on that. But for right now, I think Tremaine Edmonds, I'm not going to say he is who he is at this point because he's just so young. But I think we're going to see more of the same next year. And I really hope to see his game evolve and his reads and reactions to get better. But I really do agree that Tim Settle and Daquan Jones are going to make a big difference at one technique for both of those linebackers.
Yeah, I agree. They're going to help tremendously. I think Tremaine Edmonds will be better off this year. It's kind of hard to fly around and play football when the guard is just literally going to run straight to you because your one technique is not a threat. So, you know, I think Star Lotulelei played a decent role in that, but he only played, 35% of the snaps. So, you know, what one tech have we had that demands a double team? When the last time we had that? Long time, right?
Probably Sam Adams or Ted Washington.
Darius.
Yeah. Oh, Marcel, yes. Marcel.
So, with that being said, if these guys are going to demand even if they got a chip before they go to the second level, it's going to make Tremaine Edmonds better because he's so fast and he's so explosive that even if the guard has to chip before going to the next level, it's going to make him better. Guards, just watch. They ain't even got a chip. They just going to the second level. They know the center going to handle that. So that's going to make Tremaine Edmonds a lot better. And I think you'll see a better version of him. You know, I'm not as hard as as a lot of people. It's just that people look at that he's 6'5", 250. He's extremely fast and athletic, and they have expectations through the roof for him. Like, he's a good football player. He's a very good football player. He's probably never going to be elite. He's a very good football player. He's going to go down as one of the best linebackers in Buffalo Bills history if they keep him and sign him. He's a very good football player, and that's what it is. He's not – people think it's madness or something, and it pisses me off because they'll look at it and just think just because he's 6'5", 250 and run a 4.5, he's supposed to be the best linebacker to ever play because he has those, you know, that physical, you know, all the physical tools. You have to be a football player at the end of the day. You know, size and speed can be overrated at times. He's a good football player, period. Stop looking at all of that stuff. Just look at what he put on film. Look what he put on film at Virginia Tech. That he is what he is, you know, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
I don't want to cut anybody off, but he's a lot like Anthony Barr in that aspect, where he came out of college as a rush outside linebacker, and once he got to the league, you know, they kind of made him play that tweener role where he wasn't really developing as a pass rusher or as a linebacker. But that didn't really happen to Tremaine. You know, they plugged him in at Mike from the start, and I'm just more so alluding to the fact that it might have been a square peg in a round hole type of fit once they brought him here. And, you know, that is what it is. He's developed over the last however many different years in this defense. He knows this defense. He's a play caller for this defense. I think, you know, there's been rumblings about him possibly getting moved for whatever to whoever for some compensation so the Bills can save whatever it is, $12 million on their cap. I really don't want to see that happen. You know, I think I understand him being an asset at this point, and you'd rather move him now than later when you wouldn't get anything for him. But I think there's a lot of good football ahead of him. And if they were to incorporate him into the defense in different ways and use him schematically in different ways, I think a lot of people would be a lot happier with Tremaine Edmonds and his production.
Yeah, and honestly, you actually need offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, you got a movie.
Well, this is what I suggest. Miles Jack is available if nobody didn't know, okay? How about
He runs 4-3.
we bring Miles Jack in and we sitting up here trying to figure out who he needs to play on the edge. Put Tremaine Edmonds' ass over there on the edge at 6'6", 255, running a 4.5. All right, he should be smart enough to, if we need him to drop off, he's smart enough to do that. But keep him aggressive, keep him in the sauce. That's your damn hybrid defensive end right there. Go get Miles Jack, have him and Milano playing inside, and you got Edmonds out there playing defensive end. That problem be solved right there. But it'll never happen, though. That's just my opinion. If I was coaching the team, I'm moving my guys around to make plays. He fits the most.
My thing with that is when we watch Tremaine Edmonds try to shed blocks, he has a problem with that. He's not strong with shedding blocks. So you put him at defensive end, yeah, that wouldn't be. I don't know how that would go.
You think he'd get washed and go for a ride?
Better than Mario Addison, bro. Like, you see Mario
Addison
Addison shed blocks and all this shit.
Addison got 5 sacks. Jerry got like 2, man. I'm throwing one last jab at Jerry. I don't care. I'm throwing a jab at him. Oh man, no, you know what? So I think we all agree. Tremaine Edmonds is an outside line. He's a 4-3 outside linebacker in this league. That's really what he is. That's what he should have been. We're playing him out of position. But I'm gonna say this: Tremaine Edmonds is going to have his best season yet this upcoming season. A, because I think that having these guys up front is going to help. B, it's a contract year. Now, what happens after this? And he gets that money, and barring no injury, I can't tell you what the hell's going to happen after he gets the money. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowl. I'm telling you this. Tremaine Edmonds is going to play at a Pro Bowl, possibly an all-pro football level this season.
You bring him back after that, though?
Well, I mean, it depends on what he's asking for. I mean, I probably, if he has that type of year, you don't send him before training camp and he starts talking about elite money. Absolutely not. No, I'm not. I'm just going to go find me another middle linebacker. If you're even having doubts right now about Tremaine Edmonds being your long-term middle linebacker, then at this point, this is the point in time, Buffalo, where we're afraid to see either extend him if you can get him for cheaper, or you get him to take one of those Brandon Beane dollar menu deals, then give it to him now. If you can trade him now and get another player, and I don't want a draft pick, if you can trade him and get a player now, preferably a receiver, someone like a Chris Claypool, who may be out of favor over there in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, then I say do that now. That way you can go get a Chandler Jones or someone like that in case this middle linebacker position is not set. But you got to do it now. You can't wait till August or post-draft. It has to be done now. Now, could the Bills do that and bring in a Miles Jack as a free agent right now? Yeah, you absolutely could do that right now and put Miles Jack in the middle. He can't be any worse than Tremaine. I'm not too sure he's an upgrade either, personally. But you got to do it now.
There's a liability out there. Like, he should be in the middle. Like, he should not be covering nobody. After Patrick Mahomes said, and I mean no disrespect to Milano, but when I saw him check in Travis one-on-one, that was just a no-brainer for me to go to. So what the Bills are going to do next year when we play Kansas City, they're going to have him one-on-one with Travis Kelce again. And what you think Mahomes is going to do? Like, this again, I'm going to be asking Coach McDermott these questions again. Why we keep putting these guys out here that are liabilities, and you just think all of a sudden they're just going to get it a year later, a year older, a step slower. So, I mean, we can't just keep beating this dead horse. It is what it is. I understand y'all paying this money, but if these guys are not showing up when it's money time, then you got to go. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're going to brawl out against the Houston Texans. You're going to brawl out against the Jets. But when it's time for you to brawl up against the upper echelon teams, y'all know where to be found. So you got to go. If you're not ready to brawl out and earn your check in the money moments, the money time, you got to go. You know, I'm on a small window with that once you get you a check. You know what I mean? We're not going to keep going through this each and every year, and then we think that we're just a step away. No, we're not a step away when you still got the same guys with the same result because we did that last year with the same guys on the edge that made you go ahead and draft Boogie Basham and Greg Rousseau, who you didn't have out there when you played Kansas City again. And guess what? You got the same result. You know what I mean? So when y'all gonna keep going through this each and every single year because you feel that you want to pay a guy because he fits your system. If he's not producing against the top players and the top teams of the league, they gotta go. You gotta bring somebody else in. Sorry, not sorry.
No, I get it. I mean, that coaching error, first of all, you had Saran Nil like you had him in the first game. That would have been your best option. But, I mean, I personally, I'm not going to knock any linebacker in NFL for not being able to guard Travis Kelce. I just think that's setting the bar that's setting the bar real high. But as a coaching error, you don't have linebackers check Travis Kelce.
You can't be afraid to win either, man, because Travis Kelce is out there. Somebody got to do it. So we're going to put Milano out there that we know that can't do it?
Right. No, I agree. I agree with it. You know, I'm not gonna. I don't think you're gonna find too many linebackers in the draft or in free to see that can though. That's I guess what's
who has Matt Milano covered anyway? Like let's just keep that all the way a buck. Who has he really covered? Like we could just put him on running back or a tight end. Like
I mean, he's been a pretty good coverage linebacker amongst the whole league, aside from Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the league. I mean, that's not an excuse, but you know, like Jeremy was just saying, I doubt you can find many safeties or linebackers or anybody that can really cover Travis Kelce. That's why he's a household name, and that's why he is who he is. I just think I more so agree with the fact that you were alluding to, you know, the schematic issues, the scheming. You know, they should be having two guys on Travis Kelce. Maybe not in the front end, the first 10 yards, but on the back end, 20 yards, you got a guy looking out for Kelce to break out and go to the end zone. You know, I wholeheartedly agree. They messed that up against the Chiefs this year, and the schemes they used the second time around were completely different, and they overthought themselves at the end of the game. And that's what really shot him in the foot. But I think Matt Milano, he's a top-notch linebacker. I like Matt Milano. I like what he provides as a pass coverage linebacker. It's just a tough matchup with Travis Kelce, and it falls more so on the shoulders of the coaches.
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna see with this schedule. We definitely gonna see with this schedule this year. We
paid Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde for a reason. That's my whole point. We paid them for a reason. So if these guys, if your linebackers can't cover Travis Kelce, which they probably won't be able to cover Travis Kelce, then maybe it's time to bring in that extra safety. Maybe use that second round pick on the extra safety or that third round pick for a safety that can. You know what I mean? I thought Saran Nil did a commendable job the first game, and we never went back to it. And I think that falls on coaching. But either here or there, we're gonna move on, and that's pretty much it. We pretty much covered everything as far as the show goes today. You know, the Bills have brought in some beef up front on both sides of the line. Brandon Beane still has more work to do. I expect to see more moves to bring up, clear some more cap space. We saw the restructure of Matt Milano today. Now, if that restructure, it said it was they thought about $4 million they were thinking. If that restructure was to bring in somebody else or simply to get under the cap, because we do know tomorrow is the deadline to get under the NFL salary cap. And I think the Bills are floating around $133,000 yesterday, but the Daquan Jones contract was not fully reported yet, which that may have put them over.
But they can't technically sign those contracts till tomorrow.
Right. So
Saffold, because he was released. He was already a free agent.
We're gonna get to the cornerback. We're gonna wait. We're not gonna talk about corner. We do know Levi Wallace left. Let the dust settle a little bit, and then next week we'll talk about cornerbacks, because then we'll have a clearer window. If they're gonna bring somebody in, if they bring a veteran in, I'm still kind of on the Kevin King angle to, hey, I think that'd be a guy that can fit our system, or they're gonna go draft. So we're gonna wait a little bit on that just to see what happens with that before we make that a show or a topic. But as far as that, I mean, the Bills can make some moves. You'll probably see Cole Beasley cut in the next few days, I'm going to assume. I don't think you're going to find a trade partner. If you do, then they're lucky, and he's done it again. Brandon Beane did. You can restructure Deion Dawkins. You can restructure Trey White. There's some moves you can make. I wouldn't get too deep in the restructuring. I would only do as needed. Like I said, we don't want to be the New Orleans Saints 2.0 3 or 4 years down the line, so we got to be a little careful with that. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Beane does things. So final thoughts from you, gentlemen. I'll come to you first, Muki Hawkins. Final thoughts on the Bills offseason so far. Wave 1.
What the Bills got next year? When you look at next year, the Bills right now they got $60 million of cap space. So, they could sign Tremaine Edmonds next year if they want to. And, they're going to extend Stephon Diggs. So they can be able to afford to restructure those three guys and cut Matakevich and cut Cole Beasley, like I said, and have anywhere between $20 to $24 million to go after the necessary guys you need now to make that splash to, go ahead and compete for a Super Bowl. So, if Jarvis Landry couldn't get a trade, I don't expect Cole Beasley to get one. So, like you said, hopefully you should be able to see Cole being released. It just doesn't make sense to keep him. You can release him and then bring him back at a lower price. At the end of the day, he has to be released to free up that $6 million. All right. I love you, Josh Allen. I get all of that, but what love got to do with it? Okay. You got to free up that money so you go ahead and bring the necessary pieces in that you're trying to help win the Super Bowl. Guys that's going to help you win a Super Bowl, whether it's Akeem Nicks, Chandler Jones, Jarvis Landry, Allen Robinson, Stephon Gilmore, who knows? But they definitely going to start tomorrow. You're going to start seeing a lot of restructuring from teams, and you're going to see the Indianapolis Colts go shopping. I can tell you that. Look out for the Indianapolis Colts to go shopping, and that's where you're going to start seeing the dominoes coming into play, and then you're going to start seeing players getting a little bit more desperate, knowing that window is closing on certain teams that's competing for a Super Bowl. Then, you've got guys like Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe he comes to Buffalo for a 1 year, $4 million deal or something. You never know. Something like that will happen because he's not trying to backtrack and go to a team just because they're going to give him the most money, but they're not going to compete for a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So you got that factor as well. So once you start seeing those teams like Cincinnati, when you start seeing those teams like the Chargers and the Indianapolis Colts tomorrow start spending that cash, going to the mall, going a little bit shopping, then you're going to see, the chips fall a little bit where they may at in reference to where the Bills are going to go. So hopefully the Bills can restructure and free up some money so they can get to work too.
All right. Clayton Garrett.
Yeah, I think it's noteworthy as far as Beasley goes that he has a roster bonus here on the 20th for $500,000. So within the next 5 days, we're going to know the conclusion of what's going to happen with Cole Beasley and the Buffalo Bills. There's a lot of different directions this team could go, but the one thing I really hope to see, I know I said it earlier, I only just scraped the surface of it though. I really hope to see this team get that bona fide pass rusher, the bona fide edge rusher that's really going to change this defensive line and really maximize, the talents of the guys that you added on the interior, such as Daquan Jones and Tim Settle. And, Ed Oliver is going to wreak havoc back there too. If you were to add a guy on the edge, such as Danielle Hunter or Chandler Jones, I'm not really all in on the Nwosu move from the guy from the Chargers. I don't really know why that's a household name. I didn't really know why Emmanuel Ogbah was a household name. Just because some guys get 7 sacks in the contract year of their deals doesn't mean they're household names. There's 2 guys I got my eye on. If you want to get some edge rushers that are going to make a difference this year, not a Jerry Hughes difference, a real difference. It's Danielle Hunter and Chandler Jones. That's the move that this team needs to make to put them over the top to really, I wouldn't sit here and say I'm not serious when I say they're a Super Bowl contender, but that'll put them over the top and, no pun intended, put them over the edge. And that's really what I hope to see in these coming days. As far as the show is concerned, I want to thank everybody for staying tuned for as long as they did. We had a really good viewing tonight. It was a lot of fun going live with these guys coming on. It's just business, or it's nothing personal. It's just Bills. Or excuse me, I messed up the title.
You got it. You got it.
All right. See, that's the first time around. I got it in my head. I'm good. But it was a lot of fun going live with these guys. 3 of my favorite people to work with in all Bills podcasting. So it's always fun to chop it up with these guys, especially when there's plenty to talk about.
Right. I don't get a chance to work with too many people. People just kind of take my ideas and shit and run with it. I don't get to work with a lot of people. James Mallory, final thoughts.
I love what they're doing so far. I'm still waiting on those 2 boom moves. I want to see some lower level signings. Obviously the Cole Beasley, something happening with that. Hopefully there's a surprise trade for Star in the making.
You gotta give somebody a 2023 5th round pick.
Hey, listen, we got something for Lee Smith. I got faith. So, I want to see that. I want to see maybe like a number. I want to see a number 2 tight end sign soon. Maybe an OJ Howard. I would love to see that. a move like that done. That's something that's a need, a big time need that people aren't talking about.
Yeah.
Because God forbid if Dawson Knox goes down and he's on the last year of his deal, Dawson Knox goes down, we got a problem. Fire in the hole. So I definitely think we got to sign a DN, a 1 to 2 year deal to help, with the obviously the progression with Boogie Basham and Russo. I think Russo and just say Chandler Jones at the ends.
Cool.
That's dangerous. We definitely need to go get that pass rusher. Whoever that may be, somebody that can go get after the quarterback. The last couple of years, what has won the Super Bowl? Pressure on the quarterback. Pressure on the quarterback has won the Super Bowl, not the fancy quarterback stuff. Pressure on the quarterback has won the Super Bowl. So McDermott and Beane, they know that, and that's why you see they loading up front. I think we'll sign a middle of the pack, lower level corner. Look at what we did with EJ Gaines. We can sign somebody like that and come ball out. And then Dane Jackson didn't do all that bad, to be real. So,
no.
I like old boy McLeod too, the undrafted free agent from Notre Dame. I like him a lot. So we got some things there. So I don't think that's a boom move. I think the boom move is at defensive end and either running back or receiver. So let's see what happens.
Go ahead, Mook. You got something else you want to say before we find out?
You see our linebackers. We got Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, Tyrell Dodson, Tyler Matakavich. Those are our linebackers, by the way. Defensive end, Russo, Boogie Basham, Mike Love, AJ Espinoza. Solid, but not good enough. D tackle, Ed Oliver, Starla Tulule, Tim Settle, Daquan Jones, Brian Bryant, Eli Anuaku. Yeah, this roster don't look championship caliber or like that when you really look at this. You can go check it out on Twitter. My man Sal Capaccio just broke it down. 54 players that's under contract right now. 10 unrestricted free agents and 2 restricted free agents. So they got a lot of work to do in revamping this roster. They got a lot of work to do.
I said, I just, as far as the revamping part, like I said, I don't think much has to be revamped. I think you need that impact guy, like James said. Maybe one more. Like I said, I'm still holding out hope for Chandler Jones. I think the longer Jones goes unsigned, the more likely he will possibly sign with the Buffalo Bills. Not saying he's gonna come here, but obviously at that point, that's somebody that's really looking at or weighing all their options when they wait this long.
Remember we had this happen before, and I'm so happy we did not sign JJ Watt.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you said it. No, I don't think, like I said, I think that this team is almost championship caliber. Like I said, I have too much faith in the development of Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham. That's why if we did not get a Chandler Jones, then I'm cool with bringing a Shaq Lawson on a 1-year deal to be that fourth guy.
I think they still bring Shaq in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shaq's going to be cheap at this point, so I think you bring him in no matter what. Even if you cut him in camp or whatever you got to do, I think you bring him in regardless. But this offense, I think that's what you have to worry about. We got to get that other receiver in there. Like I said, bringing Isaiah McKenzie back, that's great. It's something we didn't talk about now. That's excellent. But he's not a number 3 receiver. If you're going to tell me that you're talking about revamping and putting a team that's going to go to the Super Bowl and Isaiah McKenzie, your number 3 receiver, I'm not going to believe you. I know he had a couple of games. I'm not going to believe you. I'm sorry. I like Zay. I really do. And I think he should be an every game player. Not every down, every game player. But I'm not buying it. We got to get the number 3 receiver spot. And actually, I know you guys are hiring Cody Ford, and maybe Aaron Cromer could do something with him. At this point, if you're not going to draft a receiver in the first round, I'm for trading Cody Ford to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who has a hole at right guard right now. AJ Kine signed with the Texans for Laviska Shenault. And give me Laviska Shenault in this office and let me see what he can do. Like, put him with a guy that talented and a franchise that's not just a mess or a complete train wreck. And let me see what he can do. So, I don't know. I mean, I thought Brandon Beane has done a good job. I think we're out of the Jarvis Landry sweepstakes. I think Jarvis is going to go to, I think he's headed to New Orleans. I think he's head home. I think he's going back to Louisiana. I think he's going to the Saints. But other than that, yeah. Chandler Jones is still out there, and go ahead, Moot.
He's trying to win. Like, these guys are trying to win now. They're not trying to go and hope that New Orleans be good. Like, they trying to win. You know, he just seen his guy go somewhere and win a Super Bowl. He is not about to go somewhere just because. Like, these guys, you got a lot of these veterans, man, that really is willing to sacrifice the bag to go to play for a ring. And, you know, a lot of these guys, these namesake guys are not going to be premature on signing just because teams are throwing the bag at them. They're going to go to the right contender that puts them in the best opportunity to play for a Super Bowl. I don't think the Saints will be marching into a Super Bowl no time soon. So, I mean, it sounds good, you know, if that's his only hope. But, you know, these guys might wait out. You know, these guys might wait out. You never know. You know, some of these big names are going to wait out because, I mean, they're not desperate for cash, you know. So, you know, they could wait out. We'll see tomorrow when it's official signing day.
Well, my thing is, I think that the difference is maybe not taking the bag and not taking the $11 million from someone like Detroit. I think you have to find a middle ground because I don't think you're going to take $2 million from Buffalo if you can get, let's say, $6 million from New Orleans. We know New Orleans ain't got no money. I'm not gonna say
who's the quarterback in New Orleans. Like, that's another thing. You're gonna go somewhere with a quarterback.
It's probably gonna be Jimmy G. It's probably
when they just paid Taysom Hill.
No, that was an option contract. They can get out of that right in a couple of days.
They trying to get Deshaun Watson. It's Deshaun Watson sweepstakes going on right now.
Right. I mean, like I said, if they get Watson, then yeah, that changes a lot, you know. I mean, I hope Watson goes to the Saints or the Panthers, anywhere outside the AFC, because I think we have enough quarterbacks in this one-sided division. Go play in the sand over there. Go play in that sandbox. This one is crowded. COVID, social distance, NFC. Go way over there, please. Thank you. But no. Other than that, guys, I don't want to hold it too long. We've been on here for an hour and 17 minutes. It's probably a longer show, but obviously, with all the moves is needed. We should be back next Tuesday to see what the Bills have done in Wave 2, because we should be Wave 2 by then, and we shouldn't have any more money by then. We should be just about dry. We should be about E. So that's what to talk about. Then we start getting to our draft talk after that. We're gonna have a lot of draft scouting reports, things coming out of the sort. I'm gonna be getting the guys on that. We got a lot done already, so we'll be following. Make sure you're following Cold Front Report on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're gonna be having a lot of draft stuff coming out next, so get ready. But as always, man, thank you guys for tuning in. It was a great show, a lot of viewership tonight, so I can tell that's the excitement of Bills Mafia on a random Tuesday night in March, a couple of days before St. Patty's Day. And by the way, if you are celebrating St. Patrick's Day and you're out there in the streets getting, lit up, please be safe. Be mindful of your surroundings and be careful with those around you. So other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, JTM. Thank you to my guests, Clayton Garrett, James Mallory, Muki Hawkins. This is nothing personal. It's just Bills, brought to you by Checkers. And we will catch you guys next week. Peace.